All right. Hi, everybody. For those of you who have never met me, I'm Amy Rasdell from Billable at the Beach. I'm really happy to see all of you here. Making sure that I have everybody muted to get started. I am recording, so everyone will get a replay link. So today we're going to dive into my framework, 5-step framework to build a successful consulting business. We will go about an hour. If you're new to Zoom, you can put yourself on or off video in the lower left. It looks like not everyone is muted. Most people are not on video, which is absolutely fine. Hopefully all of you can see and hear me. We've tested that sufficiently. So we are going to go ahead and dive in. You can chat questions along the way, and then at the end we'll also have a question and answer session. And so again, I'm Amy Rasdell from Billable with Baby. Sorry, Billable with Baby and Billable at the Beach, both of those. So I am going to go ahead and share my screen, which will bring up the slides. Let me get my slideshow going. I will share my screen so we can talk about the slides, and then I will come back off and become a talking head again near the end. For the questions part. Okay, can everybody see my screen now? You should be able to. So we can go ahead and dive in. So today we're here to talk about my 5-step framework to build a 6-figure consulting business. So we'll go ahead and dive right in. A few comments to get started. You're in the right place if everybody's not muted. And for some reason, I can't mute everybody. If you could take a quick look and make sure that you're muted, that would be terrific. Yeah, my keys are changing. All righty. You are in the right place if you want to be a consultant, but you're thinking, can I really do it? The idea of starting a business may be overwhelming to you. You may be wondering, how do I really find my first client? And after all that, can I really make money? And can I really make enough money? So those are some of the things that come up along the way. Just a few tips. You may be new to these type of online webinars. So you work really hard, and I want you to treat yourself to 60 minutes of focused learning. So hopefully you can be in a quiet room, turn off your phone. I'm going to check mine. It's off. And give your full attention to the training. You deserve it. Close any extra tabs that you may have so that you have enough bandwidth to really enjoy the session. I'm going to review my 5-step framework for building your 6-figure consulting business. We'll cover 3 of the biggest mistakes to avoid. And what's interesting about these mistakes is they're not always intuitive, some of the mistakes. Sorry, I'm trying to unmute people, or rather mute people, and I'm changing my slides in the process. The mistakes are not always intuitive. In fact, in my early years, I really blundered into these mistakes because it seemed like it was the right thing to do, and I eventually learned that it was really the wrong thing to do. So I'm going to share those with you today so you don't make them. I'm also going to drive home the point that it's really easier than you think to get started. And I am an extremely practical person, so we always focus on revenue first. At the end of today's session, I will be sharing a special bonus that is only available for a limited time. So I hope you can stay all the way until the end. People sometimes ask me, what can I learn from you that I couldn't figure out on my own? And I reply, absolutely nothing. But it took me 15 years. How long do you want to wait? How long do you really want to wait? A steady pipeline of high-quality projects is how I've kept my consulting business going strong for more than 15 years. So here's an important tip. A lot of times people think that doing the consulting work is the hard part, when in fact, keeping your pipeline full of high quality projects is really the hard part. Not doing the work, it's really bringing in the work that's the trick.
Awesome. You talk. Sorry.
But getting the leads coming in and keep them flowing in is hard. You're probably thinking, I know, Amy, but outreach is hard. And I'm an introvert. I know. Guess what? I'm an introvert too. I have a strong introvert side to my personality. I started my professional life as an engineer, so I know it's hard. And it's not just a matter of doing the outreach, it's a matter of making that outreach work for you. Turning that outreach, as some of the extroverts in the audience are probably thinking, wow, party time. It's not party time. It's not just hanging out with the people that you really enjoy. It's taking that outreach and translating it into revenue. So you need to figure out how to tie that outreach to revenue, and that's really having a great framework and system to build a high quality pipeline. So we already had a chance to meet for a few minutes, but my name is Amy Rasdall. I traded my corporate job for consulting 15 years ago, and I love it. I've been running my own multiple six-figure consulting business for more than 15 years. I have helped hundreds of people start their own six-figure consulting businesses through speaking, workshops, and various programs over the past 10 years. So for those of you, I know some of the people who are here I've known for a long time. Some of you I actually met fresh out of business school at my very first corporate job. So thanks for being friends with me all these years. And some of you haven't met me before, so here I am. So I want you, hopefully you're in your quiet room with no distractions, like I said, so I want you to close your eyes for just a minute and play along with me. Imagine if you were able to earn more than your corporate salary. You sometimes forgot that you even work full-time. In the early years of my consulting business, I was at an event somewhere, and a colleague heard me tell someone else that I work part-time. And she looked at me and she said, why did you just tell him you work part-time? And I said, well, I feel like I work part-time. And she said, okay, let's count up your hours. And when we did that, my hours added up to 55 or 60 hours a week, which is hardly part-time. Now, compared to the sometimes 70 or 80 hours that I was working, maybe it was sort of part-time, but it's not part-time. But I didn't even realize I was working full-time, and that might sound ridiculous, but that's honestly how I felt, to the extent that I told someone I work part-time. Close your eyes again. You can decide when you work, where you work, and how you work. It can be inside, outside, from an office, late at night, any way you want. You can finally go on that fishing trip or run that marathon or whatever it is that you've been waiting to do and haven't had time. You can start to play golf every morning. It's completely up to you. And here's something you may not have considered. You can actually have more impact on your clients than you do as a full-time employee. So,
Amy, I'm sorry, can you hear me?
Could you mute yourself?
I would like to ask everyone that is not speaking to mute their iPhone, especially I probably get from Dion's iPad a lot of background noise as if it's from the car. So thank you for muting.
Thank you very much. In theory, Zoom allows me to mute everyone, but it's not working today. So I'm sorry for that technology glitch. That's distracting. I apologize for that.
Thank you.
If everyone could take a moment to mute themselves, that would be terrific. Thank you. And my apologies for the technology. There's always something. So we're back to closing your eyes. You can open your eyes now. But the point I wanted to make there is that I often work with internal teams. I very rarely bring my own team, but I often work with internal teams. And one of the first things that I do as I'm building my relationship with that team is I sit them down and I say, look, I want to tell you something that's going to be very frustrating for you. Some of the things that we discover through this project are going to be things that you already know. And I'm going to be presenting to the executive team and telling them things that you've been telling them all along. And you're not going to be very happy with me. And I'm just going to tell you, there's a phenomenon to being a consultant that they listen to what you say. And because they listen to what you say and they actually do it, I actually have more impact as a consultant than I did as a full-time employee. I remember telling my dad in the early years, my dad was my best business mentor. I remember telling him, Dad, I have to be so careful because now they do what I say. But it's really fantastic because we're all at the point in our careers where we get a lot of satisfaction out of making an impact. So you can have all of this, all of these things that we've just imagined by using your expert skills in your own consulting business. How do I know this? Because I've been doing it for more than 15 years. I already said I earn a multiple six-figure income. I have chosen to work half my hours during the day and half my hours at night because that's what works for my schedule. Because every other Friday morning, I go water skiing. And I love to dance. I take several professional level dance classes every week. Professional dancers work at night. So they don't take dance class at 7 in the morning like a corporate person might do yoga at 7 in the morning. They've been working until 11 o'clock at night. They take class at 10. That was hard to do in my corporate job. Now, I will say that I did occasionally come in, get my desk all set up, and make it look like I was just in some other part of the building for a meeting. And I was actually down the street at University of San Diego taking dance class, but I couldn't do that all the time. So these are just my choices. The important thing is you can choose what you want. The projects are exciting because I am brought in to do special projects. In the early days of American Idol, when there were no other shows like that, I worked on a project for American Idol doing a sweepstakes giveaway. It was amazing. And I also have worked several programs to try and develop a non-invasive blood glucose monitor. So I know that some of my friends are here who come from medical devices, which I also do. I work frequently with the man who founded Dexcom, which you guys may know if you're in San Diego or if your lives have been touched by diabetes. It's a minimally invasive blood glucose monitor. And he has been trying for 30 or 40 years to develop or discover non-invasive blood glucose, which means diabetics would no longer have to finger stick. It's amazing. I've done serious billable conference calls from Disneyland, and I've been able to unplug and care for my aging parents without worrying that I was missing deadlines, without having to take time off. It's been wonderful. And I have not sacrificed my income or my career path in order to do it. There's nothing special about me. If I can do it, you can do it. And I'm offering you the blueprint that I never had. Here we go. My 5-step framework to build your 6-figure consulting business. The first step, just get started. It's easier than you think. You seriously can be on this training with me today, and within a week, you can be doing billable work. The important thing is don't get stuck. Keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. I have a daughter who's in high school, and she's right on the brink of all those tests, the SAT and the ACT and all that kind of stuff. So it should be like you're taking one of those big, scary, multiple choice tests. If you don't know the answer, keep going. Move on. There's nothing that should get you stuck. I want you to avoid being overwhelmed. We're going to talk about some of the pitfalls today when I go through the mistakes. And we always, always focus on revenue first. I'm assuming that you, like me, work for the money. If you're not making money, it's not a business, it's a hobby. A lot of people think that you need to start a business. Now, if you find the idea of starting a business wonderful and energizing, I'm all in. But if you're like most of us and you find the idea of starting a business overwhelming, I don't even want you to think about that right now. I want you to have tunnel vision and just think about land a project, get a check in the bank. Get one client, one project, put some money in the bank. If you start right away, and you really can, I already said, you seriously can be doing billable work as soon as next week. We're already to step 2, revenue. That's the most important thing. Land a project now is the whole focus of this step, not incorporating and building your website and your logo and your photos and writing fancy copy. You don't need any of that to get started. You are a professional consultant. You get that first client, the first project, it's billable, you do the work and you put the check in the bank. That's it. Now you're in business. You're making money. A business is not a business until it generates revenue. I already said that. The point is to make money. Again, I don't know about you guys, but I work for the money. If I didn't need the money, I would be busy, but I would be doing something else. I have a lot of nonprofit ideas that I would love to dive into, and I'm aspiring to be able to do that. The other thing about money, there's something magic about money. It has a lot of power, and I think it's not just stacks of gold. It's the idea that money buys freedom, right? It's not just even things, but it puts you in a place of control. So it also gives you confidence and power. Most people don't know that you can jump right in. Some people are afraid to jump right in, but you really can. All you need to do is find a project, do the work, get a check in the bank. And I mentioned doing the work is the easy part, finding the work is the hard part. And once you get that money coming in, I'm not hugely into the laws of attraction, but there definitely is something there. Rich people get richer, right? Poor people don't always get richer. Rich people always get richer. Once you have that money, there's something about money that attracts more money. Once you start to get your pipeline building, it all flows. It's really amazing how that comes together. So as I was just saying, land a project, get a check in the bank. Once you get that money coming, the pipeline really starts to take care of itself. And you build confidence, and then you'll really start rolling. Now, once you've gotten started, which is easy, you've got at least one project and a little bit of money coming in, or it might be a lot, because first projects can be, I'm going to teach you to shoot for projects of $30,000 to $50,000 and more. We're not talking about few $1,000 projects. We're all 6-figure earners, or close to it, or we want to even go into the multiples. So it's not until you have some of that money coming in that you need to even start thinking about building your business. And we are going to build the business one step at a time at the same time you're making money. Exactly what you need, only when you need it. Nothing more, nothing less, step by step by step. You absolutely do need a logo and website and photos. And at some point you'll need to incorporate all, and you need a bookkeeper and you need a tax professional. You need a world of stuff, but you can take it step by step. I want you focused on your pipeline and not hiding behind, oh, well, I need to do my website, I need to do my logo, then I'll do my outreach. No, that's not the way it's done. pipeline always comes first.
What do you want?
But there are so many pitfalls. It's hard to know the process when you've never done it before. So that's why I'm trying to convince you how easy it is.
Okay, thank you.
I was looking at these slides last night, kind of reviewing them for presenting today. And this next bullet, it was so funny. I read as trial and terror instead of trial and error, because trial and error really can lead to trial and terror. And all of these pitfalls and mistakes that I'm going to talk to you about today, I learned all of these the hard way. I made them all, and that's how I know them. So you can let me know if you think I should change this to trial and terror, because there were definitely times when my pipeline dried up that it was a feeling of terror. I want to help you guys avoid that. People sometimes ask me, what can I learn from you that I couldn't figure out on my own? And I say, absolutely nothing. But it took me 15 years. How long do you want to wait? So now we have some of the building blocks in place. We have money coming in. Our pipeline is healthy. Now it's time to grow. Now it's time to really take off. And the thing that I'm always going to be talking about is selling. Always be selling. That's the most important thing. When I look at my time in my consulting business, when I sit down to do the actual billable work, that's almost like a vacation. Okay, not 100%, but the hard part is keeping my pipeline full of high quality projects. I want you, if this is your goal, to not only meet, but exceed your corporate salary. Or maybe you want to have the same corporate salary, but work half the number of hours. Entirely doable. And the work is going to be more satisfying and more fun than you ever imagined possible. I had a blast working with American Idol, and it's been very satisfying, although we haven't accomplished it yet, to try to solve non-invasive blood glucose. And I have worked on a lot of other life-changing medical devices that have hit the market. It takes discipline and hard work to stay on the pipeline building. So here is your daily mantra when you're a consultant. Never let a day go by without doing something toward networking, marketing, and business development. I say this to myself still, more than 15 years in. Never let a day go by without doing something toward networking, marketing, and business development. Now we're into flow. You have a fine-tuned machine with a steady pipeline full of high-quality projects. I'm going to warn you now that there will be some ups and downs. I think some of us have this feeling that when we're in a corporate job, it's just steady state, right? We work the same number of hours, we have the same paycheck, everything's fine. But if you really think about it, it's not, right? Some weeks you work 1,000,000 hours, and I always remember thinking, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. Someday we're going to get there, we're going to get there, we're going to get there. And I eventually realized that we were never going to get there. There had been so many layoffs and downsizing. We were expected to do so much with so little that we actually never got there, right? We were always overworked. So here, because your work is likely to be more project-based, you will have ups and downs, and you just learn to get into that rhythm. We also have a tendency to think that our paychecks are guaranteed, but every month I speak at Lee Hecht Harrison, which is an outplacement services firm, and I know that some of you who are here today have heard me do that exact talk at Lee Hecht Harrison. We all know that we can walk into our corporate job any day and our position has been eliminated. So once you build your consulting business and you diligently work through all of these steps in the framework, you truly can have the best of both worlds. I'm going to take just 1 second and interrupt. Could everyone just take a quick look? Unfortunately, Zoom is not allowing me to mute everybody. There are some people that are still not muted. If everyone could just take 1 minute and mute themselves, that would be terrific. Now I need to get my screen sharing back. All right. So sorry for that interruption, but thank you very much. It's a lot easier for everyone to focus when it's quieter. And again, I apologize for that. So if you take one thing away from the 5-step framework, it really is that you can do it. You really can live the life that you want to live, that you deserve. Now we're going to dive into the mistakes. And I said before, these mistakes are not intuitive. I made all of these mistakes more than once, and I want to present these 3 most important ones so I can prevent you from making these same mistakes. So the first one is not charging enough. It's very common for new consultants for sure, and sometimes seasoned consultants not to charge what they're worth. And I didn't really understand what was behind that before, but now I do because I've seen it so many times. So many consultants not charging what they're worth have figured out what's behind it. And here's what it is. It's fear. It's fear that if I price my services too high, I won't get the work. And I can tell you there were so many times during my path of building my fine-tuned machine that I really needed that work, right? And I was afraid that if I priced too high, they wouldn't engage me. There is also a fear that, am I really worth that? Wow. Because you may not have any idea what consultants charge. And what this really is, the fear that if I say my rate's $150 an hour, that the client will laugh right in my face. But here's the thing. Once I finally started charging what I was worth, my clients never batted an eye. Not one client ever pushed back. Not one.
Bye. Goodbye.
Just think of all that money I left on the table.
Okay.
It's shocking, isn't it?
I'm gonna be part of your meeting.
So I want you to stop right now and repeat after me. I earned it. I deserve it. I am worth it. And if it's helpful, get out a little sticky note, write it on the sticky note, put it on your bathroom mirror, your computer monitor, your rear view mirror of your car. I earned it. I deserve it. I am worth it. The second mistake is what I call taking up residence. If you give a client 40 hours a week and take up residence, by that I mean you take on a cubicle or an office at their facility, what happens? Are you really a consultant if you're working 40 hours? It really becomes like a job, like a regular job. If you give a client 40 hours a week and take up residence, you very quickly become a de facto employee. You lose all the benefits of being a consultant. You remember when I asked you to close your eyes and imagine if? All that's gone now. If you're sitting in their facility 40 hours a week, you can't go fishing every morning because they're expecting you to show up at 8 or 9 o'clock. But you get none of the benefits of being a full-time employee. You don't get training and paid vacation and paid sick time and health insurance. The biggest, most expensive one is health insurance. You don't get any of that stuff. And this is not intuitive. A lot of people are really striving to do this. And why? Because they're looking for stability. So I get so many people early in the program who think, oh, I just want to lock in. I want to sell all my time. I want to lock it in as long as I can. That is not what you're signing up for, friends. not what you're signing up for. I want you to be a superhero with superpowers making super pay. You are not trying to lock in at a discount all your hours, take up residence, live in a cubicle. If you want to do that, don't be a consultant. Get a job. And you know what? If you listen to this and you decide, Amy, that's not for me, I'm going to go get a job. That's fantastic. I mentioned that I speak every month at Lee Hecht Harrison, which is outplacement services. And I do have people come up to me sometimes and they say, oh my gosh, thank you so much for digging in here. I don't want to do that. I'm going to double down on my job search. If that's you right now, go do it. I love it. But if you're a consultant, you are a superhero with superpowers making super pay. You go in to do special projects. You use your expert skills. You use your superpowers. You make a lot of money. You get out and you move on. You get out, you move on. You get out, you move on. That's what you're signing up for. That's what's fun. Not to go sit somewhere 40 hours a week. That's not what this is. That's not what you want. That's not imagine if. Superhero, superpowers, super pay. All that fractional stuff that you might be hearing right now, no, I don't get that. If you want a part-time job, go get a part-time job. That's not what this is. Now, you can be a part-time superhero, 100%. In fact, Superman was, right? And so was Batman. A lot of those guys have their regular life and then they turn into the superhero. That's fine. If you want to work part-time and still make or exceed your corporate pay, I'm all for that. So you have even more time for fishing or your artwork or whatever it is, or your family, do it. The third mistake, billing more than 30 hours a week. So this surprised me. When I first got started, I thought, well, surely I can bill at least 40 hours a week. That's full time. And I've been working 50 or 60, so I can probably bill more. And this is a really common mistake. And you may be thinking that too. Here's all the things that I just said. I always get ahead of myself on my slides. But here's what happens. If you think that you can bill 40 hours a week or 50 hours a week, there's going to be two prices that you will pay. First of all, you'll set your hourly rate too low. Because if you multiply out some hourly rate, $100 an hour or $75 an hour times 50 hours a week, that sounds pretty good. But if you multiply it times 30 hours a week, you're going to be more in the range that you really should be working. And if you're billing 50 hours a week, when are you going to find the time to build your business and keep your pipeline full? So I sometimes see my colleagues walk in with one client, 40 or 50 hours a week. They don't spend any time on building their pipeline. At the end of the project, 6 months down the road, their pipeline is dead. They panic and they go back to a regular job. So if you are billing more than 30 hours a week, you won't have the time required to do your networking, marketing, and business development. And do you remember our daily mantra? Never let a day go by without doing something for networking, marketing, and business development. And here again, I'm ahead of my slides. I just said all of this, right? If you routinely bill more than 30 hours a week, you'll stop doing the things you need to keep your business healthy. So it takes a lot of hard work and a little juggling. I will admit it's easy to get started. Easy to get started. It's not easy to keep it going for 15 years. And sometimes people look at me and they think, oh, she must just be on cruise control at this point. Sorry, I'm not on cruise control. I'm still working and tweaking and building constantly. I love it, but it still takes a lot of hard work. And I have figured out this proven framework, which now I'm sharing through Billable at the Beach. All right. So here's the big question. You've learned my framework. How can you apply it to building your six-figure consulting business? And because some of you who are out there right now are people that I know that you're already into your consulting business, but it may not be meeting your expectations from a revenue or even other standpoint. So how do you get started, or how do we build it even bigger? There's two ways you can go. You can waste a ton of time and effort trying to figure it out alone. I did that path, and you know what? It worked. Here I am. Or you can fast track your results with the Build Your Six-Figure Consulting Business program. So now I'm going to share my program with you. It is the Billable at the Beach Build Your Six-Figure Business Consulting program that I have developed through having my own consulting business for more than 15 years and from working with hundreds of people through speaking, workshops, and programs over the last 10 years. And today I'm opening it for enrollment, and we'll dive just a little bit deeper into what the program includes. It's designed to take you from right where you are to six figures and beyond. So as I mentioned before, whether you're brand new to consulting, just getting started, or thinking about getting started, or you already have some projects under your belt, you may fall into either category. I know we have a mix who are here today live with us. And then we'll have an even bigger audience. Several people said they couldn't come live today, but they're going to be joining us later. It includes self-paced coursework, group coaching for 3 months, and a private community. We'll dig a little bit deeper. So if you decide to join us, as soon as you sign up, you get immediate access to the course and all of the materials so you can go through it at your own pace in any order that you want. So if you are right in the middle of doing a project, or you've done some outreach already and you need to write a proposal, you can go straight to the proposal module, dive in there, and then come back to the beginning whenever it works. So you can jump around, or you can go through it in order. Now, of course, I've designed it to really work in order if you're new, but you can jump around to the places that interest you if you want to. There are 14 modules. It includes 50 videos. They're all fairly short because it's hard to watch too long of a video. I want you to be really always be able to be moving and continue doing your outreach while you're in the program. There's workbooks, templates, and tools. Everything is set up to tell you everything that you need to know and really position you for success. The second part of the program is bi-monthly group coaching. So some of you may have done things like this, or some of you may be brand new. It will be somewhat similar to this call, except it won't be just me talking the whole time. We'll really get on, and the people will be swapping in and out. If you got on before I started recording, we all were chatting with each other. So we have live calls twice a month where everyone can ask questions. You can either submit questions in advance, or you can ask them live on the call. If you can't make it to a particular call, we record all of them so you can watch them later in the course dashboard. Or like today, you'll be able to watch a replay, technology permitting. If you heard something you wanted to hear again, you can go back. Or when you're having your coaching session, I know that I'm in programs like this, and I'll go back and listen again. I'll think, oh, now, what did he tell me to do? So these calls are a great opportunity to get feedback and work through your challenges. If you also need accountability support as you grow your consulting business, you have that. So you get feedback, you work through challenges, you get great decision support. You may be stuck in one particular part of a proposal, not sure how to frame or price something, and we can all work through that together. You get the benefit of not only me, but all of the other smart people that are in the program at the same time. And I'll tell you, I really love these calls. every single time I do one of these calls, I learn new things that I can put into practice in my own consulting business and then include in the program ongoing. So I really love these calls. You also get a private Facebook group. And so we do it on Facebook because it's a free platform that provides a great community. So it gives you an opportunity to connect with all of the other ambitious consultants who are starting and running their consulting businesses. And here you can post questions anytime. I'm in there all the time. The other people are in there. So you don't have to wait until the group coaching calls to get support from me, from all of the other people. You can share your wins, which one of the things about being on your own consulting, sometimes it feels a little bit lonely, and you might have just landed this great new project and you want to get excited and you want someone to share it with and celebrate with you. This is the place to do that. Or if you're really stuck, or if your project got turned down, or if you made the proposal and you really thought you were all set, you had it, and then crickets, right? All of a sudden your client disappears. You can come in and you can find out that, unfortunately, yeah, that's a thing. Once in a while, you make a proposal, everyone's hot to trot, everyone wants to, you think you're going to start tomorrow, and then all of a sudden you don't hear from them for weeks. You'll be able to share all of that in the group, and it's awesome to have that kind of group support when you're going through building and running a consulting business. So for the next 2 days, I am offering for friends who are here today, and actually not just those of you who are here today, it's going to be available to everybody. For the next 2 days, I'm offering my program at $600 off the regular price. So that will start today and it will stop in 2 days. So my price is normally $15.97. If you buy within the next 2 days, if you join us and enroll, it's $9.97. The link is here, and I am going to try to find chat and put it in the chat for you. We'll check my typing skills. Oh yeah, no, my typing's not even working. Hopefully that will work so that you guys will have it. I'm not sure if the link that you see on your screen, I'm guessing that you may not be able to click it, but it's not too hard. It's Buildable at the Beach /early bird. So I tried to make it an easy link for you guys. There are a couple of other bonuses in addition to the discount that's going to be available for the early birds over the next 2 days. There is a 12-week roadmap. So it's designed to be a 3-month or 12-week program. And I put together a roadmap that gives you a learning path to complete the program in 12 weeks if you want to. So it goes step by step, do this now, action plan to complete the program in 12 weeks if you want to. Now, if you don't want to, it's absolutely fine, but this gives you that learning path and action plan to be able to do that. And then I also have a Buildable at the Beach program checklist, which just gives you a nice kind of visual way if you want to check off going through all the tasks. So you can either do it in order, or if you're jumping around, diving deep into the things that you need right now, you can go back and make sure that you've had a chance to go all the way through. I didn't talk that much about what I do in my core practice, but one of my superpowers is project management and getting things done. So for me, I like to stay organized and be able to check my list off. And it also gives you a sense of accomplishment that, yeah, I'm really getting through this. I'm checking these things off as you go along. Here's a few people that have participated in some of my programs. I'm not going to read all of these because I have a few, but these are all the people that I've worked with, some of them very recently, and some of them, like I say, I've been working with people, helping them build their own consulting business now for 10 years. People that I've really enjoyed. You'll see a lot of them from San Diego because that's where I am. But you certainly don't have to be in San Diego to work with me. I do a lot of speaking and so on locally, so I have a big following locally. Susie was actually a business school classmate of mine, and she was in one of my programs about a year ago, and it was really fun. It was slightly annoying because I would see Susie during our group coaching calls, and she looked exactly the same as she did in business school, and I can assure you that I do not. Stephen Libman, for those of you who live in San Diego, Stephen was at one time the managing director of La Jolla Playhouse, which is one of our great theaters here in San Diego. A lot of big shows, oddly enough, get their start in San Diego before they go to Broadway. So Stephen was instrumental in many of those shows. He has gone on to bigger and better things, but we still keep in touch, and it's great. Katie was more recent, and I saw her sign up, so she may be even here today. She's one of my wonderful online success stories. I actually have two businesses. I have Billable at the Beach and Billable with Baby. They're very similar. Katie was one of my Billable with Baby clients, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this, but she got started, gosh, I think it's been 2 years ago now. So at the beginning of Billable with Baby, which is only 2 years old, she dove in and she was able to double her corporate salary in 6 months. So I won't claim all the credit for that because Katie's amazing, but she's one of my great success stories. She was able to double her corporate salary in 6 months. Bernie is awesome. Bernie does intellectual property in life sciences, and he's a great fan, and I still keep in touch with him all the time too. So let's talk about where you're going to be 3 months from now. For the first time in years, you finally have time to do things that you love. Not just keep thinking, when I get to the end of the tunnel, when I get to the end of the tunnel, and as soon as you get near and you see the light, the tunnel gets longer again. In 3 months, you'll have a couple of projects going, and you've already put a few checks in the bank. The executive teams that you're working with are looking to you as the expert. You really are the person that's come in, the superhero with the superpowers making super pay. All those frustrations that you may have had during your employee years are gone. You finally feel like you're really firing on all cylinders. You're being able to use all of your skills, experience, and talents, and you're making major contributions. If you're following the 12-week plan, you will have completed the Build Your Six-Figure Consulting Program, and you'll have a solid plan to build your business while generating income along the way. If you don't take some kind of action, you'll be right where you are today. So if you love where you are today, then that's terrific. But if you aren't loving where you are today, you might still be stuck there. Tired of making all that money for somebody else, never fully realizing your potential. That marathon is always next year, next year, next year. So don't, whether you join me or not, do something. If you're not happy with where you are, do something. Take action. We're almost, it's hard to believe, but we're approaching the new year. So it's the perfect time to start thinking about that. So just one more quick mention. The Build Your Six-Figure Consulting Program is open now. And within the next 2 days, it's $600 off its normal price of $15.97. And you can join me for $9.97. So I am going to stop sharing my screen and see if we can get me back. And we are approaching our 1 hour. So I have a couple of messages that people are jumping off. So thank you if you need to go. But if anybody has questions, I am happy to answer questions. So some people I can hear. But if you have any questions, let me know. Hit me in the chat.
I do have a question.
And if you can unmute yourself and you want to ask a question, please feel free.
I do have a question. Amy, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Great. Please go ahead.
So I tried the first thing, like landing some kind of projects with like consulting, and starting at 150, always they've got me immediately to, they were not willing to pay more than $70 with a corporate job that would pay around like 130 to 150K if you would be corporately employed. So it seems like currently when you come to that point that they're only willing to pay $71 and then somebody disappears. The client just disappeared and said, okay, nah, he's too expensive. And that happened about 4 or 5 times in the last 2 months or like last 5 weeks.
Right. So at that point, you have 2 paths that you can take. You can go ahead and work for $70 an hour, which is not the path that I would really love to see you take. Or perhaps you're not looking in the right place. Perhaps you're not positioning yourself appropriately. Perhaps you're positioning yourself as more contract type work and not for the kind of superhero, superpower, super pay that will allow you to really earn that potential. So it's likely a problem with who you're targeting and how you're going about it. Those would be the things that if we were to get engaged more carefully, those would be the things that we were talking about. Now, Matthias mentioned $150 an hour, and some of the people who are here today have heard me say that I like to see everyone get started at $150 an hour. And I say that because most of the people that engage with Billable at the Beach or Billable with Baby are 6-figure earners and should be earning at the rate of $150 an hour. Whether you're billing hourly, monthly, daily, however you're pricing, that's what you're worth. Once in a while, someone does dig in and do the research and they're worth a little bit less. But in Matthias's circumstance, I'm suspecting that he may be positioning for what I call contract type work. And that with some repositioning and some different targeting, we could get him into that range. I have somebody asking, someone who's heard me talk before. So I have a free email course that's called 3 Action Steps to Generate Revenue Now, and it's available on my Billable at the Beach site. I also teach it every time I speak. It's the foundation, and it's part of my program that we're talking about today. It makes really the foundation of my business development program. It's 3 straightforward steps to take, and it's amazing. So Karina is asking, one of the things that I say in there is your beginning level of outreach should be at least 100 people. So we're going to step through the steps and we're going to identify, and we get into the detail of exactly how to do it. Identify 100 people that you can reach out to. And absolutely, at least 100 people. But Karina's asking, because I talk about email marketing, 100 people on distribution list. But I want to be clear, Karina, that it's not one email with 100 people in the BCC line. It's one email to one person, and you'll be sending 100 of them. So it sounds a little tedious. At this point in my business, I use one of the email marketing service providers. And in the program, we step along to getting to that point where you can send one click and hit 1,000 people. Some of you probably got got my emails that got you to this webinar today, or some of you might have seen it on LinkedIn or heard about it from friends. So it's a little tedious. At first, I'm going to tell you to just do it by hand, but you make a little boilerplate, you cut and paste, you sit in San Diego today, we have beautiful sun, you sit in front of football or baseball or out by the pool or in front of the fire, and you just do 10 or 20 a day and you get through them pretty quickly. So 100 for sure is a minimum. And as you grow, you want to build the number of people that you outreach to over time. Hopefully that answers Karina's question. Do I have any more questions that anybody wants to ask? Let's see what else I have. Getting started, feeling overwhelmed getting started. That's something that a lot of people struggle with. And it's really common. And I think there's two big drivers I'm an engineer by background. I know that my friend Houston Brown is here. So we have worked on a lot of root cause analysis together over the years. Some of my other engineer friends maybe too know what I'm talking about. But really the root cause of that is two big things. First of all, I used to think that too. When I had always been a corporate employee, I thought, well, there must be all this stuff that you have to do to start a business, right? This big mountain of all this administrative stuff. And I've already told you today, and I'll reassure, there really isn't. There's almost nothing that has to be done. The only thing you have to do, I'm in California, and I'll say I'm not an attorney, but in California, the only thing you really have to do is get a business license, which is really quick. You do it online, it's $60. All that other administrative stuff, that can wait. So that's one big kind of concern that we've just moved to the side. The other is fear, right? It's hard to put yourself out there. And it's funny because even my Billable at the Beach people who are professional salespeople, now that they're selling themselves, it's different. Because when you were selling this product, if the customer didn't buy it, it didn't have to be all you. It could be the product. But now that you're just selling yourself, it's your selling skills and it's you because you're the product. So it's scary. And I know so many of the points and triggers along the way that I'm going to help you through those places where you're going to hit that, and we're going to have the group. I have been doing, until the last couple of years, Billable at the Beach has been a one-on-one individual program. And when I did my first group program, I did it with Billable with Baby. The group and that support and the energy was amazing. It really helped everyone. As I mentioned before, it didn't just help the group, it really helped me. So getting started is something that doesn't need to be overwhelming, and we can constantly kind of talk you back from that. If you are frozen because the next step seems too big, one of my superpowers that I actually use in my core consulting business is breaking things down into small enough steps so that you can take action. You, and you, and you, and you, I will make it. I have this innate sense of exactly what you need to take the next step forward. And that's one of my main superpowers that I use in my core consulting business. So I'm really good at that. And I have found that it works in this world too. So we are at 12:02. Someone's asking about recordings. And yes, technology cooperating, which we did, I apologize, we didn't have full technology cooperation today. Even though I kept hitting mute everyone, it didn't work. So I apologize for some of the background noise today. But technology permitting, I should have a replay link for you a little bit today if you missed part of it, for the people who weren't able to join us live, and if there's some piece that you want to listen to again. So I am going to sign off and say goodbye. Thank you so much for joining us today. And I would really love to see you in the program. If you have more specific questions about the program, feel free to reach out to me. All my information is on websites and stuff. If you just jump into Google and Google my name or Billable at the Beach, you'll get all my contact info. And I'd be really happy to work through your specifics if you're interested in the program, to make sure that it's really a good fit for you and that you will accomplish what you're hoping to accomplish. So again, thank you very much for joining me, and have a great rest of the day.